The principle of the details of the table is what keeps it standing, what holds it up. That's what the details are about. Not what is its purpose, what is its function, what is its reality. What keeps it up? That's what Igulim is all about. The fish in the water relates to the water because what keeps it up. It doesn't have a self-identity. It's a defined presence. What is it about?
So we make a distinction here even between mechanics and function. Function is higher than the mechanics of it.
Well, function, like we said, function has a human element. If it has a human element, surely it is higher than the mechanics. Like we say all the time, what's the real presence of a car? The human being. If the car is because it is able to spin wheels, then there is nothing to it. On the other hand, if your only way to understand the car is how you spin wheels, then when you say, no, that's not what the car is all about, there is a human element in it, and then you lose sight completely of what this is all about, of your own self.
So
then the car is moving somehow miraculously,
Is context something that only applies to Yoshua and not to Igulim? Context. The idea of context, does that apply only to Yoshua and not to Igulim?
Context, there's context in Yoshua and there's context in Igulim. The difference is what is the effect of the context. In Igulim, there is no awareness of the context. I'm in the water, that's it. There's no awareness of the reality. In Yoshua, there is awareness what this is about. Think of the following. We say that the presence of the king brings life. How does it bring life? He doesn't touch you. He doesn't breathe into you. Wow. How does it bring life? It brings life because it lifts. It lifts your sense of reality to the point where where only life can relate to it. There's nothing tangible about it. Like we discussed many times, what's a melech? And yet the pikach, he says, that's all I need. Take it back to our level. What is the primary thing in the human being? To a pikach, to a real human being. His intellect. What he perceives as reality, that gives him a stance in life. In contrast to a tasty steak. I'm reminded of, I mentioned to you years back, when I first came to this country, there was a Yiddish paper, in Philadelphia. The Yiddish is not important, but it's interesting, the context. I was a young boy, so there was a Yiddish paper, and there was letters to the editor. And you remember that one? You remember everything. How come you forgot this one? And in the letter of the letter editor, I don't remember the context, what the story was about. This lady writes to the editor and says, they did this and that. And then they went to the theater. And then she comes, what else does a person have in life but for the little spiritual experience? Yeah.
If the table only is viewed purely from a structural perspective, and then you add the idea that the table is really a human element, the whole thing is mevatel, right? This is what we think.
If you, right, see, this is the transition. If you identify, say, oh, from this I can have some functional value. So then the functional value is a derivative of the structure. And you're not really focused on the value of this function. Okay, I'm using it because it happens to be there. But when you come at it from a true human perspective, there must be a table in human life. A table is not the result of accidentally meeting up with this structure. A table is something that a human being conceptualized. And it's a necessity in his life. And it represents the human element, then the structure is totally lost. There's nothing to it.
But is there a middle ground where he has? In other words, is that a mila that the structure is lost? That's what we say. Igulim is completely lost.
No, because Igulim only relates to the structure. Yoshi relates to the truth, to the mochin element. That's what we said, to the mochin.
Right.
What is its value on the mochin level?
So when the from the Yosher perspective, the structure is lost, but there's something else that's in its place.
Yeah, the reality, the human reality.
And from the Igulim perspective, the structure is lost, but
there's nothing to replace it.
There's nothing to replace it.
On the contrary, it gets lost completely.
In your newspaper article, the lady that derived the spiritual benefit from the theater, she missed the point. What is this showing us?
It's showing that spirit to her is not an intellectual thing; it's an emotional thing. Something that you experience. There's no significance to it. There's no reality. It's not based on significance. Not based on reality. It's based on my personal experience. That's what makes me feel good. This is today's world. I'm spending time on this because of its great significance. This is today's world. How do you feel about it? In other words, not feel intellectually. How do you feel under these circumstances? Take a pill, you'll feel better.
It comes out that in this instruction, every situation it needs then a further explanation of, is this Yosher or Igulim? In other words, because it's not a core thing to understand Yosher. So every situation that arises...
What do you mean it's not a core thing?
But we're trying to come, let's say those of us who are sitting here, we're trying to come in line with what is, in fact, a Yosher...
A human value.
So each time we come to a situation, we're not certain, are we in the Gulim or are we in Yosher?
Right. And this is why we are constantly looking for the structure. All our questions, not all, but a great portion of our questions is how is it structured? Now it has dissipated a lot, but this is our approach, because if I see the structure, then I can relate to it, I know what it is. I can touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we are trying to, Chassidus is trying to push you, touch it with your brain, with the value. But value is an intangible. Value is an intangible if there is no melech. In the presence of melech, it's very tangible. Would you serve a king a plate of food to hold in your hand? Here, my majesty, here is your dinner. Would you? Why not? It's a good dinner. I can even provide you with a tray that you can hold in your hand, the plate and the fork and the spoon. Majesty, enjoy. Right? Most human beings, most will recognize right now, oh, this doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, what does this tell me about my relationship to the king? That I would go about this, that I don't sense who
Did
the
you
king
hear the
is.
class yesterday?
Did I? Yes.
It shows that we are an idiot. We don't understand what this is all about. We don't have a neshama sense. This is what I'm calling an idiot all the time. Idiot means he can look at the greatness and the richness and he doesn't see it. Remember I gave you the illustration of an idiot, that, a tangible illustration, that this kid pulled the fire alarm. They said, how come you pulled the fire alarm? It says pull me.
That he sees the greatness and doesn't relate to it. In the pull me example, it would seem like looking at the structure seems like a step better than having a good experience, but still it's not relating with seichel.
It would seem that way, but the reason we are looking for the structure is in order to have a tangible experience. I should be able to feel I have something. I know something. This is I understand the world. I understand day and night because the earth turns around and the sun. Oh wow, perfect. This is what makes day. This is what day is all about. So we learn right in the first Perek, in the first day of creation, and we learn it with the 5-year-old kid. So it sounds phenomenal. Every human being is granted that intelligence, provided it's not being perverted by the idiots.
And that's Yasha.
That's Yasha. I mean, the madrigas, but immediately you sense, yes, oil is toiv.
And how's that? That's Yash. I mean, at first glance, you may think, well, that's the child acknowledging he's engulfed in Hashem's world. But that's not what we say.
No, he's not engulfed in anything. This is in his intelligence senses its truth, its value. And he senses, yes, this is a godly creation. This is not just a result of some kind of a structural phenomenon.
So he who brings ore and tells us that it's good, the child says, "Oh, this is Hashem brought this ore, and this is the source of good."
The child doesn't say anything like that.
Okay, but but this is it's taken into him.
Right.
He
yeah.
absorbs it.
He relates to it.
And this orients.
He feels comfortable in this idea, and as a result of this idea, he develops, opens up his neshama and says, "Oh, I'm in the real world. I can relate to it."
And primary to this is the one that gave the ore, that brought the ore into the world.
Yes. But again, he's not looking for the structure. He's not looking for the source. He's looking for the reality of it.
Oh, it's all one thing with him. It's not he's not piecing it together. It's a full. He takes it as a full statement that
He
this
doesn't
is,
even take a full statement. Light is great. Finish. Period.
and not focused on who gave the light.
No, he doesn't focus. He doesn't discern. He doesn't analyze.
It's okay.
It's great. And it's great means it's absolutely great. Not because it's comfortable. It's great. It's an absolute greatness to it. As he grows and he says, what is this absolute greatness? Oh, this is a godly thing. This is greater than the world. And he sensed it from the beginning.
This is the proof that you don't look in the passport to know the age.
Even just as by a child, we don't look at the child as is. We see what is, where he is going. At us, we must also look the same way. There's no point of putting us down. There's no point. The point is, okay, I have an opening, I have a window. Let's get into it. When a child graduates from AyinBase to a seder, make a whole celebration. What does he accomplish? He's nothing. Oh, this is the real thing. All right, let's get back into the text a little bit. I know that this is something of a phenomenal thing. This really puts in contrast, the Torah view, the reality view, and the silly, stripped, lifeless view of world. And this, we have pointed out, this you can identify at every level, everywhere. Like we said, what's a fruit? Fruit is a koyach ha'or of the earth is producing a fruit. It's a godly blessing. No, a fruit is a natural outgrowth of this tree. Okay. And I said, let's have something inside. I'm counting so that we wouldn't have to write 8 lines from the top on Mem Gimel. Bekehilat, there's a shtevis, bekehilat yaakov. That's a shtevis of a sefer which we skipped. and at the end of the parenthesis, okay, at the end of that line, V'zehu inyan the yurim pikhin, and this is the principle the yurim pikhin that's in Medrash says yurim pikhin, smart and open-minded dwellers. Hainu his galos bechinas hamoichin. What is the pikhin? This is where the bechina of moichin is revealed. What is the bechina of moichin? The bechina of moichin. Again, to us this is very significant because the whole world says we are intelligent. Look, 2 times 2 equal to 4. This is intelligent. This is not the bechina of moichin. This is identifying the structure in the world. Bechinas of mochin means that which only mochin can recognize. Because it eludes. It's not a tangible thing. It's not a physical thing. It's an idea. Like we said, you don't serve a king on a tray to hold his plate in his hand. This is Galut Bechinas HaMoichin. That's why it's called Pikhin. Particularly in Nineveh Zivugim. Okay, so on dry land there is the Hisgalus Bechinas HaMoichin. Why? Because on dry land you don't see, you have to hold yourself up, you don't see where your sustenance comes from. What's holding you up? What makes you stand up? Even lahabdo the animal, but a human being, what makes you stand up on 2 feet? The concept that there is a royal reality in the world. That's Bechinas HaMoichin. I'm not laying down like a fish in the water. I'm standing up. There's something real that I'm standing in front of a king. So that gives me the spirit to stand. This guy is Bechinas HaMoichin. Particularly when it comes to Zivugim, where there is hamshocha of that bechina of atzmis hamoichin. In other words, this is a hamshocha of making a statement that the moichin, this idea, this imagination, this is truer than the physical, tangible element. This spirit is a force unstoppable, endless force. That's Bechinas HaMoichin. This God is Bechinas Atzmus HaMoichin. And that type of Gila is not possible in Igulim because it would just dissipate their whole existence.
We're talking this relating to the Hashpah Gashmis?
Yes, but Hashpah Gashmis comes Atzmus HaMoichin. That's why the union of Zivugim is not mentioned in conjunction to Igulim. Because that is completely beyond that world.
So there could be Atzmis HaMoichin because he's a full-fledged entity, regardless. So therefore, this Atzmis HaMoichin is not.
He can accept it. He can accept it and then produce a whole child. That's what it is.
He can accept it. What is he accepting?
He's accepting Ayin Atzmi. What is a child? Everyone here on the table has a child. What's a child? A child is a separate entity from you. What's his relationship to you?
Who's accepting it? It's the Vlad. Who's the receiver here?
The one who is creating the child. What's a child? There are some people who have this, you know what, katnas mochin, a child I have to keep next to me. Only when I cuddle him, he's my child. When he's going out and he's creating his own world, what do I have to do with him? What's the point of having children and they should go on shlichus, thousands of miles away? I'm losing my child.
Where in this do you see that? Where is it explained that he's receiving? Which phrase that shows the father to be a makabel?
The father is not a makabel, the father is a mashpia.
Okay,
But what is he mashpia?
Yes.
He's mashpia, Ayin atzmi. V'zehu, okay, just v'zehu yikova hamayim.
So what was the answer? What is a child?
A child is the reality of existence, the reality of the Creator. That's a child.
You're saying that some shachas bechinas atzmis hamochin. This is due to what about the father?
That he is a mitzias though.
The reality of the Creator, what does it have to do with it? That's my child.
It is part of your own reality. All right. So here's where we interrupt. Okay. Have a good day. Good Shabbos.
Take care.